Hello and welcome to Last Friday in about 3 minutes. It is a game for 2 to 6 players. There is no solo mode. Playing time is around 30 minutes per chapter, so 2 hours for a full game. It is a reasonably simple game. It's summertime at Camp Apache, and a group of camp counselors have arrived to set up the camp. There will be drinking, pranks, flirting, skinny dipping, and of course, murder. The camp counselors figure out something is wrong when they find the camp owners brutally murdered. There is a masked killer on the loose, and now is the time for running, screaming, tripping and falling, and quite likely a fire axe to the skull. One player is the masked killer, while the others play the 5 counselors. This game is played in 4 chapters, each with its own unique rules and victory conditions. In Chapter 1, the counselors are on the run and need to find the keys to cabins to lock themselves in before they are killed. In Chapter 2, the counselors fight back and must hunt down the killer and defeat them. The player who defeats the killer, or the one who comes closest to doing so, becomes the predestined hero for later chapters. Chapter 3 has the resurrection of the killer and a renewed massacre. The predestined must be protected at all costs. And in the final chapter, the predestined hero must land the fatal blow on the killer to finally defeat them. Team play. One player is the killer, and the others must work together to defeat them. Hidden movement. The killer's movements are kept hidden from the counselors for much of the game. Player turn. Here is a look at the board of the game. You will notice that some spaces have numbers on them, and some have white dots. Counselors move from white dot to white dot, and the killer moves on the numbered spaces. The killer chooses a start location in secret and records it on their sheet. Every time they move, they record the number behind the screen. Every 3 turns, they must place their killer token on the board to show their current location when they are being hunted, or their location 3 moves ago when they are the hunter. Each chapter lasts for 15 turns. In chapters 1 and 3, if the killer makes a move that would have them cross over a counselor, that counselor is killed and a body is placed in their space. That player is out of the game until the next chapter, where they get a new counselor. In chapter 2, if a counselor passes over the killer, they are removed and the chapter ends. That player becomes the predestined. And in the final chapter, the killer cannot move over the other counselors, who act as blockers, and if the predestined moves over the killer, the counselor wins. If they fail to catch the killer in 15 turns, the killer wins. There are various tokens and skills the counselors can use to help their cause, such as bear traps that can slow the killer down, and lanterns that reveal the killer if they move past them. But the killer has their own skills, such as invisibility, which makes it so the killer does not have to reveal, or plot twist, which can extend a chapter by an extra turn. Players alternate turns between counselor and killer until the chapter is over. Doing well in one chapter helps you in later ones by earning you rewards. Why would you like this game? While this is not a licensed Friday the 13th game, it is very much a Friday the 13th game. Chapters 1 and 2 are very much like the first film, where the killer stalks people before being hunted down and killed. Chapters 3 and 4 echo Fridays 2, 3, and 4, with the killer going on a rampage before finally being defeated by a chosen one. And even if you are not a fan of horror movies, it's still an excellent hidden movement game, with the chapters really changing up the dynamic and flow of the game. Going from hunter to hunted requires a real shift in your thinking. And the chapters also help build a story, with the consequences from one building to the next. The single best thing about the game is that all counselor communication is open. You can make as many plans as the counselors as you want, but noise travels far across the lake and the killer can hear them. However, the game must have all 5 counselors in play, which leads to some weirdness about who controls who in all but 2 and 6 player games. The chapters also take a bit of getting used to, and you will likely have to recheck the rules for them on your first few plays. It would really have benefited from some reference cards for each player to summarize each chapter. Letters from Whitechapel is considered by many the best pure hidden movement game around, and focuses on real-world killer Jack the Ripper. And for another hidden movement game with a lot more depth and complexity, I recommend Fury of Dracula.